This big tech researcher just exposed how the Clinton machine ruined his life. Oh man, Hillary Clinton and her minions are evil, evil people. They ruined this man's life. I only watched the first like 3 minutes of it. I decided I wanted to watch. I want to react to this live with y'all, so I immediately stopped the video and said let's go ahead and let's post this. And this comes from the vigilante Fox on X. He posts some really great stuff. So shout out to him. We're gonna get into this in a minute. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account as well. Follow me there where I'm very active, especially at night. You can catch me on X, reading stuff, posting stuff, and things like that. All right, so let's talk about this news. Now, again, this comes from the Vigilante Fox. We're going to get to the clip in a minute. But this is the video you need to watch today, he says. Dr. Robert Epstein told Joe Rogan that after he testified before Congress about his research on Google, someone warned him, I predict you're going to be killed in some sort of accident in the next few months. While Epstein himself was not harmed, 6 people close to him have died, including the tragic death of his wife in a suspicious car accident. So let's check this clip out. Here we go. The Clinton hit list, it just adds up, man. I mean, the Clinton mafia killed so many people. I mean, could you imagine our country today if she actually won in 2016? Could you imagine? Oh my gosh. All right. So let's get to this clip.
I need to have a meltdown. I would like to have a meltdown right now on your show.
You want to have a personal meltdown?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I've never heard anybody plan for a meltdown before.
Well, I need to do this, and I think this is the right opportunity.
Okay.
And I don't know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
But I am definitely going to melt down.
Okay.
Okay. So I am completely fed up. I have worked day and night. I work about 80 hours a week. I'm directing almost 40 research projects.
Wow.
I've been working really hard for maybe 45 years. And the last 12 years where I've turned my eye to Google and other tech companies have turned into, for me personally, a disaster. So before I started studying Google, I had published 15 books with major publishers. Since I've started studying Google and other companies, I can't publish anymore. I used to write for and actually work for mainstream news organizations and media organizations. I was editor-in-chief of Psychology Today for 4 years.
It's a big one.
An editor for Scientific American. I wrote for USA Today and U.S. News and World Report and Time Magazine. But in 2019, after I testified before Congress about some of my research on Google, President Trump tweeted to his whatever millions of gazillions of followers basically some praise for my research. He got the details wrong. But then Hillary Clinton, whom I had always admired, chose to tweet back to her 80 million Twitter followers, and she tweeted that my work had been completely debunked and was based on data from 21 undecided voters. I still have no idea where any of that came from. Probably someone from Google, because Google was her biggest supporter in 2016. And this was 2019, and then that got picked up by this machine. I'm told it's called the Clinton machine, and the New York Times.
It's a literal book on the Clinton machine. I mean, they got media people, journalists, all part of the Clinton machine.
Picked that up without fact checking, and then 100 other places did, and I got squashed like a bug. Squashed. I had a flawless reputation as a researcher. My research reputation was gone. I was now a fraud. Even though I've always published in peer-reviewed journals, which is really hard to do.
Absolutely. I myself am a peer-reviewed author. I got a few studies myself in peer-reviewed journals, major peer-reviewed journals. It's if you don't know what peer review mean, it means you do a study, you do research, you write a paper, you do a case study, what have you, and you submit that to the journal. The journal of your peers will look at your work. They will look at your research. They will look at whatever you wrote, and they will critique it to see if there's anything wrong with it, if it's factual, if it's legit or not. And then if it passes peer review, they'll publish a paper, and it's not an easy thing to do. Like I said, I myself I have a few papers published in peer reviewed journals myself. So it's definitely not an easy thing to do. I can guarantee all of these, the majority of these journalists that write stuff would never have their stuff pass muster. The leftist mainstream media, it would never pass muster in peer reviewed journals. I can tell you that.
And there was nothing I could do about it. And all of a sudden I found that the only places I could publish were in what I call right-wing conservative nutcase publications, where I've actually made friends over the years. I've made friends with them, but that's beside the point. I was crushed. And not only that, I've been discovering things. I've made at least 10 major discoveries about new forms of influence that the internet has made possible. These are controlled almost entirely by a couple of big tech companies, affecting more than 5 billion people around the world every single day. And I've discovered them, I've named them, I've quantified them, I've published randomized controlled studies to show how they work, published them in peer-reviewed journals. We just had another paper accepted yesterday. And I've built systems to do to them what they do to us and our kids. They surveil us and our kids 24 hours a day. Google alone does that over more than 200 different platforms, most of which no one's ever heard of. People have no idea the extent they're being monitored. They're being monitored if they have Android phones, they're being monitored even when your phone is off. Even when the power is off, you're still being monitored.
How do they do that?
Well, because remember when we could take the batteries out?
Yeah.
And then at some point they soldered them in?
Yeah.
Because they soldered the batteries in, even when you turn the phone off, it's not off. It's easy to demonstrate. It's still transmitting, or it'll transmit the moment the power comes back on. It's still collecting data. So what am I trying to say here? Then my wife was killed in a suspicious car accident. This was also shortly after I testified before Congress in 2019. Right before she was killed, I did a private briefing for Ken Paxton, the AG of Texas, and other AGs at Stanford University. And one of those guys came out afterwards and he said, well, based on what you told us, Dr. Epstein, he said, I don't mean to scare you, but he said, I predict you're going to be killed in some sort of accident in the next few months. So I told you this before when I was on before, and obviously I wasn't killed, but my beautiful wife was killed. And, her vehicle was never inspected forensically, and then it disappeared from the impound lot. I was told it was sold to some junk company in Mexico.
What?
And that is one of now six incidents, of violence against people who are associated with me over the past few years. The last just happened a couple of weeks ago.
What was that one?
Well, this last one is kind of weird and creepy. And then I was at a meeting in Dallas, I think it was. Oh no, it was up in Monterey, and it was with General Paxton, and then with some of my staff, and one of my staff members sitting next to me, she all of a sudden just brushed her hand against my computer case, that's my computer case.
Okay.
And she screamed. And we all went, "What? What happened?" And she goes, "Look." And there was a needle sticking out of the computer case, which is impossible. And it was going a half inch into her thumb. It had gone through the end. And of course, I'm thinking, oh, that's awful, but maybe you just saved my life. Maybe it's got some sort of weird poison on it, or it's like a Putin thing, and it's got,
Right.
radioactive substances or something. I'm trying to joke around, but meanwhile, she was terrified. How did a pin get, and by the way, I have a picture of the pin. It's really creepy. I've never.
So when you're saying a needle, you're not saying like a syringe. You're saying a needle like a sewing needle.
No, that's what I'm saying. None of us has ever seen a needle like this needle. It's about 2 inches long. The end is like it's been sharpened.
Okay.
You can see it sharpened, and at the end where there should be a hole for thread, there's no hole.
Okay.
So I don't know what it is, but we've had worse incidents too. I'm just saying this happened to be the latest.
But that's in your computer bag. Was your computer bag ever out of your care?
Well, not that I noticed, but
But I mean, if somebody wanted to harm you, a little needle, it's not really.
oh, I don't think that's someone wanting to harm me.
What do you think that is?
Well, if it's anything, it's someone wanting to scare me. And the fact is, I have been scared, and so have a lot of my staff. This summer, we've had 26 interns. They come from all over the country. 23 of these people were volunteers. And fantastic young people, extremely smart, helping me run almost 40 research projects.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know how he does it. Just doing one research project, let alone. I mean, it's not easy doing research. And then he got 40 of them going on. Wow, that's crazy.
there is, we take precautions, and there is some fear. And one of these young men who's done superb work, he asked that we take his name off of everything.
Wow.
He didn't.
That is crazy. That's unheard of. You do all this work for research, and you do this stuff for credit. You get your little acknowledgement. You get your co-author name up there. It's rare for someone to ask for their name to be taken off of something major like that, because you get credit for that. Like when I go places and tout my credentials for certain things, I can say, yeah, I'm a peer-reviewed, published author, and that's what part of my credential. For you to take your name off of a paper like that is very, very odd. Very odd.
Quit, but I'm just saying
Right.
because there
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, because there have been a number of incidents, and if I were, did you ever hear of John Catsimatidis?
No.
Okay, he owns a ton of supermarkets in New York. He also owns WABC New York. But I was at a luncheon with him. I shouldn't do this on the air. I shouldn't do this. But he actually said, to make a long story short, that if he were Google, he would kill me.
Wow. This guy is putting out so much stuff on Google. He's doing the research behind Google finding out their tricks of the trade and all these things and how they're spying on people and how they got all these 200 different applications and stuff that people don't even know about that's spying on you. Nope. It's a wonder why this guy is still walking around, man. And you got the Clinton machine coming after you. That's some scary, scary stuff. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.